All right, y'all, I'm starting to wonder if the choir is about to sing regarding the Micah Miller's case. I'm hoping people are about to start speaking up and not caring about or fearing John Paul Miller. All right, real quick, I have learned that the FBI is still working on the case, and allegedly they've talked to some people pretty close to Micah. I've heard some other things, but I can't confirm it, so I don't want to share it. But as soon as I can confirm some things, I will share it. I probably shouldn't have even mentioned it, but I want to share this little bit of information. So in an interview with News 13 out of South Carolina, one of the elders who used to attend Solid Rock Church has spoken out regarding JP. I thought that he shared some pretty interesting things, so I wanted to share those with y'all. Now, you might have heard about the name Bernard Kennerson throughout all of this. He is the registered SEX offender that attends Solid Rock, or did attend, I should say. He no longer does. Don't come after me because I'm sharing what he said, even though he's a registered SO. I thought the information that he shared was pretty interesting, so I wanted to share it, okay? I can't help that he's an SO, but I did want to share the bit of information he told. He came forward and said he felt abandoned and he no longer attends the church. Now, this was an elder with a leadership role, and he quit going. In October, he gained a leadership position with Solid Rock Church, so that gave him a lot more access to JP, and he said he really got to know him. I did want to share his photo that's from the Horry County Sheriff's Office real quick, in case you want to pause it and read. This is him. We've heard about him. And he is on the left in this picture. He has now left the church, and he said it is mostly because of JP's demeanor after Micah's death. He is also concerned about the church's $5.59 million real estate portfolio and the inner workings of the church. And I think this is what the FBI is investigating. He said all of that was kept from him, even though he was a leader and elder in the church. And most of the time, they're supposed to know that information. He said the only option people had, if they had a problem with the church, and especially with JP, was to leave, and to leave quietly. You don't bring up issues, allegedly. Bernard resigned from the church from his leadership role on May 4th, and he no longer attends. He said he is one of the people that believes that Micah's SUICIDE, or alleged SUICIDE, was not because of a mental illness like JP is saying. He said he feels like all of this is the judgment of God coming down. He also said that on the day of Micah's death, he got a call that night at around 11:15 p.m. from John Paul's personal assistant. She was on the way to John Paul's house. She told Bernard, you need to get ready to prepare a sermon. Micah has taken her life. He said the personal assistant sounded sad and distraught. The first thing he thought and remember saying out loud was, this is bad. And then he sat down to plan a sermon or a message for Sunday morning. He only had a few hours to do it. And then he said less than 10 minutes later, he received a text from JP saying, no, I'm preaching in the morning. He said he didn't think that was a good idea, but he wasn't really surprised. It was 3 days after that sermon that he attended an elders meeting at the church, and that the elders and leaders were told that they were to stand by JP and just deal with the chaos that was taking place surrounding the church, and that it would soon end. He said one of the main people in that meeting was Charles Randall. And as you know, that is the man who is like JP's biggest fan and mentor, and he's helped JP throughout his ministry. He's his spiritual advisor. He said that Charles stated they'll all get through this and be stronger than before, and he also knew that Charles was real protective of JP and the church. However, Bernard said that once the news came out about JP's behavior and the abuse towards Micah, alleged abuse, he was appalled. He said the things that JP has admitted to were bad for not even a Christian, much less a Christian and a pastor. He said JP was not the man he thought he was. Keep in mind, they were really close. So the people of this church are starting to speak out, even the ones close to JP. He also alleges that JP kept a big, thick notebook of all of Micah's alleged health issues, and that he would often thumb through the notebook. He said that was part of JP's manipulation and controlling of the narrative that Micah had a mental illness, or illnesses, I should say. He stated he is looking forward to a full investigation into Micah's death. He also stated that nearly a month ago, there were like 700 people at the church. Now there's like 50. He also talked about the small airplane that Solid Rock bought and said that talks of buying it began months ago. He said that Solid Rock registered the plane with the FAA on May 9th, and that the plane was to allow JP to be able to go to travel all these different churches to speak and help the pastors. Now, in the interview, he also did mention his status as an SEX offender. He said he was convicted in 1991 when he was in the Army. He said there was nothing illegal with him being involved with a church, but he's got to be careful not to be involved in a situation where there's children. And lastly, this man said, and this is really telling, he said that his experience at Solid Rock Church was an eye-opener, and that he very well may never attend a church again because of it. So yeah, this is crazy that an elder no longer attends the church. He had a leadership role. He was close to JP. He's done. Now, again, don't come after me. I know he is a registered SO. Some of you may not be able to take him as seriously because of that. Some of you may not respect what he said, and I get that. I'm not necessarily saying I respect what he said, but I did want to share because I thought the information was interesting. So I feel like the choir's about to sing, guys. I feel like there's going to be some pretty important information coming out very, very soon. That's just my opinion. Tell me what y'all think in the comments.